Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Above the Bar podcast, where each week we belly up to the bar with a new guest, find out what they do, who they are, and what makes them great. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. Alrighty, folks, welcome back to the Above the Bar podcast. It's your host, Sean. We are bellying up to the bar today. It's a little bit of a different day. If you look, we're going to call this Beauty and the Beast. Maybe I don't know what we're going to call this at this moment. For those of you that are regular watchers, listener, you're going to notice we got an extra square here, like Hollywood squares. We got Dibs on with us. Dibs is going to be doing some co-hosting. The goal here is he figures out how to do this whole thing, and then I can actually go on vacation, and you guys don't have to watch me do shows from my iPad and things of that nature. So we can kind of increase that. So we brought Dibs on, and you can actually see that Dibs is a real person that actually does most of my posts. But we've also brought on with us today the stunningly handsome, ravishing Paul Kadilak, because he was harassing me before the show, folks, and his beautiful. I know. Look at him. Look how red he is. That is like.
It's because I'm always hot.
Susan, can you tell me what color paint that is that we could go with his complexion right now?
I mean,
meatball.
That's what we had for dinner tonight. So, and we have the truly beautiful, truly stunning, and amazing at what they do. The only hammer I know is out of the bottle of bourbon. We have Susan and Paul Kadilak. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
But that was so great the way you guys were both like, thanks for having us. I was waiting for you to talk about Schmutty Balls for a moment.
Oh no, I can be much more like a
hello. Thank you for joining.
So that's the other thing.
Bar podcast.
Paul has running with. He's got a Rhodes Pro 2. So I'm pretty impressed by that. The geek in me that loves all this equipment and everything is definitely digging that. So before we get too far into this, let's go ahead and take care of a little bit of house cleaning here for everybody. As you always know, behind me to my right is Sticker and a Cause. If you've got something that you're supporting, something you believe in, I don't care what it is. If it's another podcast, you've got a show that you're supporting, you've got a Girl Scout troop you're supporting, I don't care what it is. If you reach out to us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, it's even our TikTok, it's all the Above the Bar podcast. Even our emails, theabovethebarpodcast@gmail.com. Send us a message. I'll give you the address. You send us a sticker. Dibs was noticing earlier, we've got from back when Miles Grix was on, we've got the Frosty sticker up here behind us. We'll have to see if Susan and Paul have a sticker. We'll put a sticker up there on the board for them. But make sure you reach out to us, like I said before, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, everything. It's all the Above the Bar podcast. Also, if your media looks like it needs a renovation and it's just not quite hitting it there, make sure you reach out to Media by Dibs. That's DIBS. You can find Dibs on Facebook at Media by Dibs. You can find him on Instagram at Media by Dibs. And if you go on to, Instagram's Media by Dibs, Facebook's Media by Dibs, LinkedIn is Andrew Dibble, DIBBLES. Make sure you tell him you're going to belly up to the bar. He'll give you a 10% discount on your first order and a free consultation. So all that's done. Dibs, you need to plug anything?
No, I'm good, man. You plugged me. Okay, never mind. Sounded good.
Yep. And just like that, we went into a whole nother show. I did not plug or peg Dibs. That didn't happen. That was not a thing.
Can I ask Dibs a question? Do you have any Groupons coming out soon for people if they want the media help?
Groupons.
I haven't even thought about Groupons. I could, absolutely.
You call it a double dibble, you know?
Oh yeah. Oh, I've definitely gone with because I went by Drew for a little while. Definitely the double D. Definitely went on that a little bit. So yeah.
Dibbles and bits. I mean, there's a lot of things that can go with that.
Like that.
So my streaming name for video games is Dibs and Bits.
Right.
Yeah.
When I dibble, you dibble, it's like do the dibble, the dance.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. It can go with a lot.
Again, I knew this shit was going left the minute they logged on, and they had a sign up with the show name and everything on it. I was like, yep, we ain't getting shit done today. Are you guys over there? You got a little beverage for you? You got a beverage tonight? Yay, nay? What are we doing?
Zima right over here. It's
I have some
Please
spring
tell me
water.
you have a Zima with
I
a
have
shot of
Fresca,
grenadine
actually.
in it.
I have a Fresca. That's what I have.
He's obsessed with Fraggle.
Well, we got our Helderberg bourbon. You guys are in Boston, right? Boston area. Oh, you're muted. You guys are muted.
What's wrong with that? Is that better?
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Right.
So
I
you
don't
guys
know.
are in the Boston area, right?
Yeah, we're about 20 minutes north of Boston. We're in Burlington, Mass.
No. See, Boston is at least one of those cities. I tell people this all the time. Have you ever been to Chicago?
No, but I'm dying to go.
Yeah.
My kids are baseball fans and they want to go see like the Cubs and stuff. So
Anytime you meet anybody from Chicago, and Dibs will probably tell you this, if you ever met a Marine from Chicago, they're never from Chicago. They're never. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, where are you from? Chicago. What part? Like 2 hours north,
Yeah.
Oh.
the Canadian border.
No, it's no joke.
Right.
Yeah, it's no joke. I saw a sign that said the best Chicagoland casino when I was living out there, and it was in Indiana. I'm like,
Oh,
yeah, no,
cool.
that makes sense. Like, yeah, why not? Not even in the same state. Way to go, Chicago.
So let's get into it. And for those of you watching the ticker slide across the bottom here, it says Kadilak Homes, and that's Kadilak with a K. So it's Kadilak, which I just think is such a cool spelling for Cadillac because I'm digging it. So right now, and I want to make sure so you've got the YouTube channel, and the YouTube channel is.
So we've got YouTube, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, Pinterest. We're pretty much all over the place. Most of our videos are on Facebook. We've got a bunch of videos on YouTube, and we put a lot of our stuff. We're kind of everywhere.
And we have the app that has the show on it as well.
And now tell me about the app, because that I was really curious about.
So the app is a home renovation show. It's called Renovation Rekindle. So there's 10 episodes on the app from season 1. We have season 2 coming out in the fall, and there's a bunch of other content on there from all the social stuff that we've posted the last 5 years. So we started putting videos out on social media probably about 5 years ago. And that was really the start of kind of the videos, and, and that just kind of grew. We're doing home renovations, we're building homes, we're doing all that stuff. We're filming it, we're putting it out there, and just kind of as we were doing it, people were like, we want to see more. We want to see more finished projects. We want to see clients. And, as we've been doing this, we had a bunch of production companies reach out to us about doing something with the network. And ultimately we decided not to go that route. You have to agree to a lot of things to go that route. And we
had too
did
many
not
responsibilities.
feel that it was a good route for us.
I'm real curious about that, because I was going to ask about that. Like, have you been approached? Because you guys have that look. I'm going to be honest with you. You've got the look. Like, you definitely have it, because you have a real quality person. You have a Sean too, right? You have your own Sean.
Yeah, we have a show on. It airs in New England, but we launched the app so that because we have people that follow us in different parts of the country, and so that other people can see it as well, because it's only on in New England. So the app is access for everybody to be able to see it if they want.
Go ahead, Susan. Go ahead and say what you were going to say, Susan. Do you have a Sean?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for talking.
I think he said, do you have a Sean, not a show?
Oh, what? I can't hear anything.
It's all right. I block out his name sometimes too. It's okay. It's
So
an easy one.
is my wife. It happens all the time.
I ride fire trucks too, so I can't hear sometimes. The sirens are very loud.
So, but you have a Sean, also, right?
We have an in-house video person who does define a Sean.
Yep. Well, no, because I'm a Sean, so he would be your Sean. So you have a Sean.
Yes.
Everybody needs a Sean.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. I get it now. Yes, I have a Sean. Yes. That's why I need a Sean, because I'm the boring one. And
it's okay. We're just live.
Yeah, we both totally failed at that. I apologize. Let's rewind. Let's ask that again.
Let's try it again. Yeah.
So you guys have a Sean also.
Who doesn't want a Sean?
Don't you all want a Sean?
Everybody loves Sean, right?
Go with you.
We're gonna do this. I only have 4 buttons because I use a P4 in studio. I want the P8 so bad you have no idea, but I have a P4, so I only have 4 sound. Oh, you do know. Oh, yes. Would you like to talk about my P4 or maybe my P8?
I would love to do that.
Oh, good, great.
This shit's gone so left already. I love every bit of it. I love
This is
every
my
moment.
life every single day.
So one of the things that as I was looking into your guys' stuff, and I wanted to get kind of a vibe for this. So you're renovating. You're not renovating to flip. You're renovating for like clients and stuff like that, right?
So both. So we do
Okay.
purchase some properties where we're a lot of times the properties that we purchase, we're doing a complete knockdown and rebuild, but sometimes we do renovate to resell, depending on the house. If it's something that's salvageable and the numbers make sense, we will renovate and resell
We
it.
try not to knock every house down that we work on, but the costs have just skyrocketed and so quickly.
What do you mean?
Last,
Yeah.
like pencils, the cost of pencils went up significantly.
Stop it.
They were
So
like 59 cents. I think they're at 99 now.
So since
it's
COVID,
nice.
just the past 12 months, construction materials have gone up 20%. And that's in the past 12 months.
12 months.
And previous to that, they went up, they've just gone up a crazy amount. So I'll give you an example. We were at a client's house the other day. We built their house in 2019. And I needed to find something in their file. And I came across their lumber quote from 2019. So this is just for like 2x4s, lumber, that kind of stuff. It was about $36,000. That same house today is about 90 to 95,000 just for lumber.
Shit.
Yeah.
American money too.
Wow.
Not pesos.
No peso,
No.
man.
No pesos.
No.
No, so that's in like a very short period of time. So as everyone sees, the real estate market is shooting up. You're also like the cost to produce housing and renovate houses has gone up so fast and by so much that sometimes, maybe even 3 or 4 years ago, we could look at a house and say, okay, it makes sense. We can renovate this and resell it as a remodel. But now the numbers are just so crazy. It doesn't always make sense to do that. So
Yeah, I was just gonna touch on that because I've heard the interest rates. Like we're trying to actually sell our house in northern Michigan, and
Yeah.
when we first started the process, we started doing some like just DIY type reno. Which total respect for you guys. Nope. But yeah, as we've tried to sell it when we first started, our real estate agent's like, yeah, no problem, you'll be able to sell it, no problem. And now it's been on the market since May, and we've got 3 people going through it. So it's one of those as we're trying to do small reno, it makes it we're trying to stay within that price range. And he's like, oh, maybe you should drop again. No, it's not financially. It doesn't make financial sense. So
I mean,
Yeah,
I
how
can give
do
you a quick back story of kind of what we do overall. So Susan's actually a licensed broker. So we have a real estate brokerage. She was building when I met her. And then I got my builder's license and then started building with her a couple of years later after I got in the fire department. So we're both involved in the building side of things. She does all the design, so anything from finding a house to selling it to renovating it to, tearing it down and building new, to designing it. We do design build. We're pretty much encompassed with anything that has to do with a house overall. So we've had clients that we have found them a property, tore it down, built them a house, then sold their house.
Wow.
We've had clients, we try to just be very transparent with our clients because it's very difficult. The trust in contractors is getting better, but it's still difficult for people. So we always try to be very transparent and just be upfront with them, which can be difficult conversations at times. But I think being able to put ourselves out there, people follow us and see what we do and kind of see who we are and what we do. And that definitely helps, in terms of getting jobs and people calling and so forth.
yeah, especially being there. Go ahead, Sean.
Well, I was going to say, you bring up a great point about trusting contractors. And there's so many of those websites out there. There's the Angie List, and there's another one, Tack or something like that.
Thumbtack. Yeah.
Thumbtack. What is, it obviously this is not an endorsement one way or the other for either of those sites.
Yeah.
But what has been your experience, or have you met folks? Like I tell people all the time, my electrician that I use, I met him through Angie's List. And I never have to go on Angie's List again. He's on my phone. I pick it up. If I need something, he's there. I recommend him to people all the time. But he's one of these guys I tell people, don't ask me for an electrician unless you're doing work. He's going to come to your house. He's going to quote you, and he's going to have the parts in his hand and be like, are you ready to get this done? He's not there to play games with you. What has been your experience with those, or would you recommend them, or is it still that same crapshoot that's out there with finding a good contractor?
Yeah, I think those sites are they can be tough, and sometimes you can luck out at, as you've seen. I think it's really hard because construction is still one of those fields where things are done by hand. It's a skill level. It's, not all electricians are the same. You could have gotten someone else and that you may not have been as happy with. So I think that that's really hard in our industry, which is, part of why we put so much of our stuff out there. So like when people call us, like they know what they're going to get. And a lot of times with contractors, you're busy, you're on the jobs all the time, you're running around, you're trying to get things done. And the last thing you want to do is post stuff on social media. You just want to work, you just want to get the jobs done. So it's definitely hard. And, I think a lot of people find recommendations are the way to go. So I'm sure your electrician is happy that you are giving his name out.
Oh, I love my electrician. Like I can't even. He's a little bit of a psychopath, but I think once you get into different trades, you've dealt with enough. Like he's told me stories. He's like people will call him up and be like, "I need this done." He's like, "This is the price," and they're like, "I'll give you a third of that." He's like, "No, I don't think you understand what I'm
Right.
telling you. This is the price for me to do that. Yeah,
Right.
I'll give you even less than the first time I said it." And he's like, they just don't get it. Like,
Right.
So I mean, I think
go
No, go
please. I
ahead.
wanted to hear what your experience with that has been.
No. I was just going to say, I think there's, just like any profession, there's amateur ball players, there's professional, right? So there's different skill levels, there's different things. So some guys do only, homeowners. Other guys just want to do builders, so it's really also finding what fits for you. So that's a big thing for us is when we do go meet with clients, the bigger thing for us is, do we get along with them? Do they get along with us? Are we their contractor? Are they our client? Because we're not everybody's contractor and they're not all our clients, and that's okay. Is it a good fit? Because we have currently a couple, we've been dealing with them for probably about 9 months now, and we're getting ready soon to, they're going to be moving out and we're going to tear the house down and build new. So, and we haven't done anything yet. This is just the planning phases of it. So you get to know people very organically. You see the good, the bad, you get to know them whether you want to or not. So it's a very, 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 it's an emotional
You got to get
process,
along, right? Just like you say, you love your electrician. You got to love your
Right.
electrician. You got to trust him.
Yeah. You have to be able to,
Mm.
do that. I mean, like that's one of the things I was going to ask is how are your clients finding you guys? Because I mean, like we had to find someone up here I've got a Great Dane that decided it'd be cool to chew half a hole through our drywall. And I had to find a contractor come up here, and I found just somebody that on Facebook that just has been doing drywall for 45 years, only accepted cash, only did this, but I got quoted out 250 by one person, and this guy's like, "Oh no, I'll do it for 50." And it's just like, how are you guys getting your clients to come up and approach you, or are you approaching them? I mean, is it obviously you said with a relationship being built, referrals?
I usually hold a sign when people come off the highway. And like,
do you do the surfboard spin it thing? And like,
yes. No, I mean, go ahead, Susan.
No, go ahead.
No,
you go ahead.
People want to hear what you have to say. I just say nonsense.
I just
want to hear you say no Mar Garcia Para is really what I want to hear.
Just one quick thing I want to say about, when they say the price, this is the price. Like people need to understand that going into the trades, the way like when I grew up, it was like, if you don't go to college, you're going to end up working at, in a fast food restaurant. That was kind of the message that they gave kids and people. And the result of that today is that every 5 people who leave the trades, only 2 are coming in. We don't have enough people in the trades. We don't have enough people, in those fields. So with the prices skyrocketing and with the labor shortage, which we're especially feeling in the trades, like, that's kind of how it is. Like it's hard to get people to show up because everybody's so busy. It's hard to get materials, and the materials are expensive. So, I think that's a natural thing is, what are they charging me? This and that, especially where things have changed so quickly. So I think that is something just for people to keep in mind that there's not, it's hard to find people. And for us, the way our clients come to us typically is through our social media. Most of our clients will watch us for, I don't know, probably a year or so before they actually ever reach out to us.
Now, are you saying through the app they'll watch you? Is that what you're referring to?
So some people watch the show. Some people will watch the videos we put out on social media. Some will just watch, like we post pictures and different things every day, and they'll just like follow the stuff that we're putting out.
Now, I'm just curious. So I know both Dibs and I are not the best with, like, I have lots of tools. I'm the guy who goes and buys all the really cool tools, but I'm not really good at using them. But I buy them mostly, and my wife I know is probably watching, because my wife initially will say to me like, "Hey, can you go put that up?" No. And then she'll be like, "Well, then I'm going to hire somebody." I'll be damned if you're going to test my manhood. I will go put that shit up.
It
And then
might
I'm
fall down.
and then it's horribly done. And then I'm like, "See, I told you shouldn't even ask me. You should have just hired somebody to start
See,
with."
I'm the opposite, Sean. I go buy the tools for my wife so that she can go and do them. Cheryl is definitely the go-to. Like, yep. I bought her a tabletop for Christmas.
I love
Susan
that.
had a dump truck when I met her. Our first date, I went to pick her up. She had a dump truck. So
Yes.
What?
Would have been cooler if she picked you up in said dump truck.
it's true. I went to pick her up. She had a dump truck and drove, and I said, "Whose dump truck is that?" She's like, "It's mine." And I was like,
That's so
"Huh,
awesome.
I gotta investigate this more."
That's so awesome.
Like,
Now I got to know, Susan, why did you have a dump truck?
Because I was building houses. I was doing
That's so-
construction. So I was building when I met Paul, I was building houses. I was in construction. I was in the field.
So now, if I'm watching your videos, and this is, I want people to understand this. Am I watching those and it's similar to a HGTV? Oh, look, we did it from the start, and look, it's all magic, and then we're gonna go. And is it that, or is it this old house? Grizzled guy with 3 fingers telling me how to like use the chop saw, and I'm like, that dude's scary. He's got 4 teeth and 2 are in his pocket. Like what level are we at here if we're watching the videos and we're getting into this? And
Yeah.
again, folks, this is all on at Kadilak Homes, and that's KADILAK Homes, and that's Facebook, that's LinkedIn, they're on Kadilak Homes, that's on YouTube, they're Kadilak Homes, that's on Instagram, they're Kadilak Homes. The app, say it one more time for me if they want the app.
The app is called Renovation Rekindle.
And Renovation Rekindle for the app. So if I'm on these, what am I getting out of these videos?
So the app is a show. It's kind of like of an HGTV show where you're watching, the client, the project from beginning to end with the full reveal at the end. So that is what is on the Renovation Rekindle app. Okay. And then on social media, there'll be a lot of before and afters. There might be a video of Paul taking a shower in the showroom.
The Kohler showroom. Yes. Yeah. It's incredible.
Playing golf on the toilet, swimming with rubber duckies, things like that. Mm-hmm. So you might see that. You might see him wearing his mullet in the countertop showroom, or you'll see him installing, different things in the before and after. So you could just kind of see anything. So, as we've been putting that stuff out, like I said, our clients a lot of times will watch us for about a year. So they know when they call us that there's a pretty high chance that there's going to be a video of Paul doing something bizarre in their house that will be put.
So is this app really like Paul's OnlyFans? Like that's really what this is?
All the views on it are me, I think. I'm pretty sure. But
look at this, guys. I can do it.
Yeah, so the app is the show. There's a lot of social media content on there as well, just from we've been putting videos out for about 5 years. So there's a ton of videos on there, a ton of content on there. And then it's different from the social media content. The social media content is, it's shorter. It's, depends on the platform. It's all different content.
It's a more polished version so that you can get the whole feel of the experience. So it's like who the people are, what their problems are, what, Susan comes up with the design, then the execution of it, and then we reveal it to them. So it's a legitimate reveal. Like I went to great lengths to make sure that they could not get into their house at any point. I changed their locks. I put plywood walls up. Well,
brown paper on the windows.
Yep. No peeking in the windows. One guy's like, "Hey, I can't get in my garage." I'm like, "I know." He's like, "How do I get in?" I go, "What do you need? I'll get it for you." I go, "I got the keys." He's like, "I can't get in." I go, because there's access to what we're working. I go, "You can't go in there."
It's wait, so great.
So we want it to be special for them, as a real, true reveal, so they could really take it in once it was, complete. So we got to sit there with them in the room when they took the blindfolds off and saw it for the first time, and that was something that was very cool for us to experience because it's very humbling seeing people kind of overwhelmed, with joy and it's like they made it, like they, they planted the flag on the top of the mountain, just something they've always dreamed of having, and they just could never quite articulate it or put it together. And that's what Susan's really good about, is kind of pulling those pieces out of people's heads and putting that design together for us to execute and change their life.
See, that's super cool. So you see your cohesiveness there. You see that you guys were working towards that end goal. But then we talk about Susan with the dump truck, and we talk about Paul in the shower. Like, how is it working together for you guys? I mean, obviously you look at some of these things, you're like, oh, there is no way that they are this, like, that they get along this well behind the scenes. But I mean, like, how is it working together?
Oh no, I mean, Susan has a similar sense of humor in me, but she's just much, she doesn't, she's not a loudmouth, she's very intelligent. She doesn't, I think out loud, she keeps it in her head. Maybe that's the best way to explain it, I'm like,
so she's a little less Boston then.
I just laugh at him. I mean, I have to,
Yeah. I mean, she's not as comfortable doing the videos. I don't really care. Again, I'm a firefighter full time. I work, at the fire station here locally. So I work 24-hour shifts. So, the guys there too, they can very much tell you all your flaws very quickly, and you learn about them, and you just learn to kind of accept them and be like, that's me. I don't know what to tell you. It's a great quality. They joke about me having OCD about certain things, the way I do things. And I'm like, yeah, it's a gift. You guys are just jealous, So
I get it.
I get it.
I get it completely. Now, I mean, again, and I've already hinted at this. At any point in time, Paul, I need to know if you've yelled out, "No ma." I need to know if that's ever come out of your mouth.
I mean, probably at some point, I would say, yeah. I mean, we're a hockey family too. We're Bruins. We're a hockey family. So
yeah. Now I'll let Dibs talk to you all about that. Hockey. I'm not a hockey person at all. I grew up in Baltimore, so like that wasn't a hockey thing.
Right.
Like we had the skipjacks when I was a kid, which doesn't even exist anymore. So I'll let Dibs. He's like all into hockey. He makes hockey designs for teams and all that shit. I don't like.
I'm actually a part owner of a hockey team up in Northern Michigan. We're a small, like, semi-pro team, kind of like single A if you were comparing it to baseball. So yeah, that's when he mentioned Frosty is what he called it, but Frostbite's like our mascot.
That's awesome. Whatever that thing is.
I mean, you have a hockey beard, so it's like, that thing's meant to have a helmet on top of your head. You know what I mean?
Who, me or him?
You.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Look at that thing. That full gruff there. I can't do that because of the firefight, and we can't have beards because it won't seal the mask won't seal our face. That's why a lot of them have mustaches.
That's why both Dibs and I were in the Marine Corps I was in it for 20 years. He was in it for like 20 minutes. And
ouch.
I'm the gunny. I get to do what I want to do.
Well, hey, thanks for your service.
Yeah, look, you're doing something that I couldn't ever do. I'm not running into I'm not standing too close to the fire out back. So you get more credit than I do.
No.
I've got an old gas stove. That's about the fire extent that I got. I could use you guys to get me in a new stove.
I've always been infatuated with fire. Always, when I was a kid, I used to light big fires, and then I was like, I should probably not do that. And then, I wanted a feel good job. Probably when I was 16, I knew that's what I wanted to do, and school was not my wheelhouse. It just, it got to a point there was no return for me. So, I got through school, and then, it took me 12 years to get on the department because you have to test every year that they offer it to stay current on the list. So,
wow.
Test. And then I got on, I met Susan a couple of years after that. I had got on, and then that's when, I started doing the construction with her, and that was like 2008. So it was like a very, very dark time for the country.
I was about to say that. So you guys started this right after the housing crash.
Yeah, I come from a family of builders. Like my dad was a builder, my grandfather was a builder. They had
anyone named Bob?
No, actually, I'm going to tell you their names.
The full Italian family, yeah.
Full Italian. My dad and my grandfather, born in Italy. So my grandfather's actual name was Guido.
True story.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, wait, it gets better.
Yeah, my father's name is Danilo. I've got Dominica. As
your other grandfather.
My other grandfather was Beniamino. Yeah, it's like
forget about it.
Yeah. So when they came here, they all got made fun of for not speaking English and all that. So we all got American names. They didn't want us speaking Italian. They want us all Americanized. And, as a kid, they always had us on the job sites. I was always doing quotes. I was always like, they would be putting driveways in or, building houses or whatever. They'd be doing all that stuff. And I don't know why we were on the job sites, but that's where we were, just as kids. And they were always building stuff. They were always renovating houses. And my grandfather had a backhoe and he always let my brother go in it. And I wanted to run the backhoe. And he was like, no, you can't go in there because you're a girl. And I was like, well, I want to go in the backhoe. So they would never let me go in the backhoe, which is probably why I had a dump truck. So I blame Guido for that, but it's okay now.
The power.
I almost said something horrible when you said my grandfather had a backhoe. I almost said, you mean a gumad. I almost said that, and that wouldn't have been right. That'd have been a horrible thing to say. So you'll appreciate this, and Susan. So even though my full name is as Irish as you're going to get, there's the only thing missing is a Mick in my name. My grandmother was the first person in our family born here from Sicily.
Oh, wow.
Dartia Maranto. My grandmother was Rose Valenziano, and all those things, but none of them spoke Italian. None of them. Like my grandmother knew it, my great grandmother knew it, but my father, his brothers, nobody spoke Italian. And I think it was the same kind of idea. Like, no, you're here now. Right. Hurry up and speak that language so nobody knows who you really are.
Right. Well, they used to. So my mother, when she went to school, she remembers the teacher yelling at her mother because she spoke Italian and she didn't speak English. So they were, they were razzed a lot and given, they took a lot of flack for coming, for not being native and for speaking another language. And, so like my mother would say she remembered the teacher like yelling at her mother, you need to teach these kids to speak English. So,
Wow.
so they were all very, we all have American names and they were adamant they didn't, like, we understand Italian because they spoke in the house all the time. And I think that we didn't know what they were saying. But
it's like baseball hand signals.
But they
100%. Well, put it this way, my youngest son, one of his middle names of our youngest son is Vincenzo.
Oh, there you go.
Because we couldn't, like, all my kids, I was always like, I had an uncle named, we called him Uncle Marty, but his real name was God, I can't even think of his real name right now, but it was like super like Nunzio. It was Nunzio. Yeah, it was Nunzio. So I was like, I want to name one of my kids Nunzio. And my wives were like, fuck you are.
No.
She has an Uncle Chicken Palm.
Oh, that's so great. But now
that's incredibly, I mean, that's sad if you look at how it is now. Like I've got 2 kids and I want them to learn another language. Like I would love for them to have another language. And it just like so many people were ostracized back in the day because it wasn't the thing. And now if you're able to, I mean, I want to learn how to speak Spanish just so I can hear people talking crap about me while I'm standing at the taco truck. But
it's funny you say that because Susan actually speaks fluent Portuguese. In addition, yeah, I can barely speak English, as I'm sure.
See, I was about to say, Paul, guys like you and me who come from cities with horrible accents. If I was back home in Baltimore, it starts coming out and it's like, hey, listen here there, hon. I'm going to tell you right now, I am not trying to hear this at all.
Yeah. Like, I'd be like, let's go to Dunk's and get some coffee. You know what I'm saying? Let's go to Boston. We'll park the cows, hit the Sox game. Give me a pack of mobs and a medium regular, please.
Yep.
Thanks, Darcy. You're a doll.
Does it get worse as you get upset and more intense? I've watched interviews with people who have stifled them. I think Mark Wahlberg was one of the main ones. They stifle it and then they start getting intense and doing something, and then it just comes out like you're back. You're back there.
Yeah, Susan speaks fluent Portuguese, so that's very helpful. You know, we do have a lot of immigrants that work, and I give them all the credit in the world. Picking up, leaving your country, coming here, not speaking the language, that takes a serious 100%. Set of balls to do that, and you can't knock somebody for trying to make a better life for their family.
I'm such a D&I guy. Like I talk to people about it all the time. And for those who don't know, it's diversity, equity, and inclusion. I take time on my own just to read articles and understand it and all those things. So absolutely. I never understand people that are like, that say those kind of things that make no sense. And I'm not going to repeat them here. And I go, listen, jackass, do you know your lineage with all this?
Right.
Now,
Aaron.
well, I got to know. did any of her grandparents teach you how to lay brick? Because the best bricklayers I have ever known, I got a buddy that I grew up with who still does it to this day. His name is another great Italian name. His name is Guy, Guy.
Oh yeah.
And he's about the size of a brick wall, and he lays brick. Anybody, any of her grandparents or uncles or anybody come to you and be like, Paul, let me talk to you for a minute. Let me show you how to do this.
Unfortunately, her grandfathers were passed when we had met, but her father did.
But they were brick, that's what they did. Almost everything he built was brick. Everything was brick. All the buildings were brick. All the houses were brick. The house we grew up in was all brick in the front. Everything was brick.
And he probably built it, didn't he? He built the brick in front of it.
Yeah, and some of the buildings he built, they were knocking down another brick building, and my father told me my grandfather took all the recycled bricks, made them sit there and chip all the mortar off.
Old school.
So they couldn't use the brick.
School. Yep.
Fungul, get that off of there.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so good. Let's go. We're gonna use it. So good. Let's use it.
Oh, that's.
Do you find yourself trying to go back? Obviously, you were talking about lumber and things like that, but do you find yourself trying to pull a little bit of that heritage? I mean, obviously it depends on what the client wants and needs, but do you find yourself sometimes trying to push them a little bit towards that aspect of it, just to kind of pay homage?
No, I mean, every client's different, but Paul laughs at me because we're building our own house right now, and I'm tiling the entire first floor.
Ceilings, walls.
That's so Italian.
Please
tell me there's lions out front of the house.
Lions are on order. They're back ordered right now.
I knew it. There was no doubt in my mind there was lions somewhere.
What's wrong with lions?
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
Oh.
She picks very pretty tile though, so it does look good. It's masculine enough, but it's yet soft enough when you come in that you feel comfortable.
I'm a subway tile. Like when we did our bathroom in my basement, my contractor, great contractor, local here in the Albany area, he calls it the bulletproof bathroom, because this wall behind me that you see is a real brick wall in my basement.
Oh, nice.
And the bathroom door is a commercial steel door.
Oh.
And then it's a tiled bathroom with cinder blocks behind the tiles. So he calls it the bulletproof bathroom. I'm like, that's what I'm going to hide out for the apocalypse. I'm just going to.
It's like a safe room.
Nothing will get you.
They built one. Well, and that kind of brings it up, because I was that person. I have a safe room, but it's for my safe. So it's physically for my safe. But when they built it, they did the drywall, 3/4 inch plywood. Then they put the studs in, 3/4 inch plywood, drywall, and then the cedar all in the room. And I always tell people, if you get in there, that's congratulations. you want it in there, and I wasn't shit. I was going to stop you from doing it. But as you're doing these renovations, and especially, we joked around about how people want to save money. On the other end of the spectrum, has there been anyone that's come to you that's been like, I don't give a what you do, I want this, and you were like, I don't know. What do you want? You want animatronic dancing squirrels coming out of the ceiling? I don't understand. And a fountain? Like anything like that for you guys?
Oh, my grandfather had a fountain at his house.
I love your Please tell me your grandfather made dandelion wine. Please tell me.
He didn't make wine. No, we had grapevines at his house. He had the fountain in the yard. Sorry, that's not what you asked. Paul.
I don't care.
No, I'm just listening. It's true. There's
just reminded me of the fountain in the middle of the yard that we used to.
Her grandmother's house had 2 kitchens naturally, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So our house that we're building has 2 kitchens.
As well, it should.
Right.
You have to have a canning kit. One is for canning and one is for cooking.
Well, our 11-year-old son loves to cook, but he does not like to clean. So I told him he has to. I said, "You're not allowed in the kitchen. You have to go in the little kitchen." And he says, "Well, but I want to use that stove." And I'm like, "Until you learn to clean, you're not going anywhere. You're going in, because one of the kitchens was for show that they would use when people came over, and the other kitchen was the one that they would use." And so I told him, "You have a kitchen you can use."
Her grandmother had that room that had plastic on the lamps and the couch. You can't go in. Yeah, this is the room it's a museum. Nobody goes in there. I think her cat was the only thing that went in there. But
oh yeah, when we were kids, we used to try to go in there all the time, and she would catch us.
Paul, I grow over 100 bulbs of garlic a year.
Really?
Yeah, I'll be playing. They go in the ground by Halloween, and they come out of the ground by 4th of July.
Oh, that's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
That is the rules. That is how you do this shit. And yeah, like, and I understand everything you're saying, but back to the original question, because it sounds to me like Susan and I had some similar experience. Lasagna on Thanksgiving or on Christmas. Were you 7 fishes or lasagna?
Christmas Eve was all the fishes, but then lasagna was just a part of the course at every holiday. It's it's like 75 courses, and lasagna was always one of them,
See, we were lasagna.
or the manicotti.
Oh,
yeah.
Pitzols.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Every time.
I will jack up an entire sleeve of Pitzols. that and Stella Dora breadsticks and coffee.
Yep. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what anything we're talking about right now, Paul? Do you understand any of it?
I do, because my mother's Italian, my grandmother.
There you go.
I know all. Oh yeah, I grew up eating that stuff too.
Well, see, I was waiting for you to, I was waiting for the very South Boston, and I'll tell you my Boston story in a minute. I only have one. But back to the original question. How about that question of like, have people ever like asked you something so outrageous where you were like, I don't know, but you still did it?
Yes. Well, I mean, not outrageous. It depends what you consider outrageous. So we had, it's actually in the first season, which is on the app, but one of the people that bought one of the houses, she wanted to surprise her husband. He's a big movie guy. So they said, can you finish the attic? And we were a very far point in the house already. So, we agreed. We're like, okay, we can still do some things in there, so forth. So she's like, he wants to make it a movie theater room. He never treats himself and so forth. And I guess he saw this like fiber optic star ceiling at some house, and he was in love with it. And it's not a cheap ceiling. So she's like, Paul, I want to put this ceiling in. She's like, can you do that? And I was like, I don't know how to do it, but I will figure it out. So I measured it, me, my Finnish carpenter, my electrician, between 3 of us, we figured it out. Me and my Finnish carpenter hung the thing, got it up and running. And it was super, super cool to see, because the ceiling was painted dark. It was like a real dark. Did we do that one black?
Yeah, we even painted like the inside of the recessed light so that it matched, and it had like a shooting star. It was cool.
It was pretty badass. I'm not gonna lie.
Shooting star.
Yeah. They come in big panels, and you got to piece everything together. The measurements have to be right. We had a register on the ceiling for the HVAC, so we actually closed it up and shifted it to another point, so it wouldn't be in that. It wouldn't be in the middle of that ceiling. And then the lights, like Susan said, we pulled the trims out and painted those black, so it just would all, it would all look cohesive.
That's
badass. Yeah. So talking attics and basements, what we've all seen movies where dead bodies, tons of money. Like, have you guys found anything? I mean, not even to that point. Like, I've seen newspapers, really cool stuff that people use inside the walls. Like, what's some of the cooler things that you guys have found during renovations, or what's some of the scarier things that you found during renovation?
Well, we haven't found money, but yeah, I was going to say you should tell that story.
So the first house that we ever flipped, this was back in 2014. It was a little tiny ranch. We paid $165,000 for it, which is insanely cheap money.
Like free.
Right. And there was a lady who lived there. She had a lot of cats, and the son was a real estate client of Susan's from prior. So the mother had passed away, unfortunately. So she, he called to say, hey, my mom passed, I got to sell the house. And he was worried nobody wanted to buy it. It had plywood floors, there was just not finished.
It's a mess, yeah.
Just his mother who lived there. So, we worked out a deal with him. So we're demoing and ripping down the ceiling in the basement, this plywood. I stick this big bar in there. I pull this thing down, and it was like Matrix movie quality. This thing of skull and fur came flying at my face, and I was like, whoa, and my shoulder everything went slow motion. My shoulder turned. I leaned back, it brushed past me, and I was like, whoa. And the smell was so overbearing.
Oh, that's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, it was awful. So we never told, her client, we never said anything. But it's funny because he did call her, and he's like, hey, by the way, did you find any cats? And she's like, actually, yeah. He's like, I told my mother that cat died in the ceiling, so it's kind of funny that it circled back to that.
Yeah, I was like, yep, thanks for the warning.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we found a snake inside some trim and an exterior door.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to do the, have you ever heard the story where somebody found a Action Comics #1 in Pittsburgh while doing it. So it was in Pittsburgh. They found an Action Comics #1. And for those that don't know what that is, that's the first appearance of Superman. And they found it. Somebody had used it for insulation inside of a house. And this was back in like 2013, 2014. But the crazy thing about it is they find it and they're like, oh my God. And even in the condition it was in, it was like $175,000, $200,000 comic book. And the aunt who was helping them was like, I want to see it. And they were like, look, I want to see it. And they said they got to fussing about it. And she ripped the front cover. It was a complete intact book.
Oh.
And 175, 200,000 still went to 75,000 instantaneously. But it was like one of those, like, you can find her in the walls now. That's what she
Right.
You can find her in the second wall behind the first wall now.
Right. Like
You
the
built
wall
shape.
within the wall.
Right.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's crazy. No, we haven't had the luck of finding anything
Nothing
cool
yeah,
like
not,
that,
not
or
finding so
no,
much. Right.
no money, just really gross things. Lots of
Yeah.
gross
Yeah,
things.
very gross things.
Yes.
Some of the
Yeah,
houses are really old, so they
Yeah, it kind of makes you think, like, especially when you get into older houses. Like the house I grew up in was built in the 1800s, and it's like there we go, built in the 1800s that I grew up in.
Yeah, that's cool though, because there's probably a lot of cool stuff in the walls there. The way you look at the construction then, and the guys that built that, and how it's just like hammering by hand, no nail guns, and cast iron plumbing, and like that's some real craftsmanship that they had to deal with back then. So it's
And it lasts too. I mean, you look at that and how it lasted that long, and then you look at the house that I'm in now, and I'm like, I'm really curious who built this, because it's slightly terrifying.
That's true. We try to do things differently in a sense, not so much finding things, but just trying to be creative for clients and stuff that they want or things. And I always like to try.
What about so in season 2 we have an episode coming out where they wanted to do the basement for the kids, and he wanted a rock climbing wall.
I was all over that. Not because I'm a big rock climber, because it was a whole big kids thing set up, and I was like, yes, we are doing this. He's like, do you think you guys can do it? And I was like, yes, we can do this. So we researched it some and got all, we even had LED lights hanging down from there, so it lit up the wall, and we had monkey bars in there and stuff. It was a really cool project.
So that brings me to that point. Like, what are some of the cool? Man, my service is awesome today.
Yeah.
So you got a 28.8 modem?
See, you said 28.8. I was going to say 56K. I was going to go right there. Thank you. I'm glad somebody else is an ass like I am.
I am also where I live in the middle of nowhere in northern Michigan, and up until like
It's called witness protection.
Up until like 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was on satellite internet, get like 300 millisecond pings and all that. Now I have Starlink, and it's faster, but if a storm rolls in, then my service goes to complete.
He's actually got a crow that stands on top of his shit with his wings
carrier
out.
pigeons right outside waiting.
Yeah.
How is John supposed to go on vacation with that? He's going to be worried about that.
Yeah, that 28.
See, I can't go on vacation. Now you see, thanks, Susan.
I'm sorry.
I appreciate you. All right.
Yeah.
I'll go to the Sportsplex, John. I've got my good internet up in the crow's nest. I'll be perfectly fine.
Okay.
He goes to his OnStar to get service,
Funny enough, the cool part about having a hockey team is I'll just go to the arena and set up in my office and do it there.
There you go.
I always say we put a man on the moon, but I can't get a cell phone signal in a basement. I don't understand it. But
You could blame me partly for that too. I used to put up cell phone antennas before I did all my graphic
design or something. Is that why would we blame you? You didn't make the antenna, right?
Everyone else seemed to.
My son and I were in North Carolina. I just took him to college in Tampa. We drove from Albany to Tampa. 5 days, Albany to Tampa and back to Albany. 5 days.
I hope you rented one of those little smart cars, so it was a super tight ride.
Nope. I drive a 2021 Nissan Titan Pro 4X. So I'm in debt just in case. I'm in debt. I was debt free till that trip, but we were actually, he's talking about cell phone towers. We were in between two cell phone towers. Physically drove past one, and within a mile, I looked up and I saw another one. I had 0 bars.
Wow.
0. I'm like, this isn't even possible. So I'm curious, what's the next step? So we've got all the different stuff. Like I said, the at Cadillac Homes, KADILAK Homes. We've got that. We've got the app. What's next for Paul and Susan?
So we just finished season 1. We've got season 2 of the show coming out in October. So that's coming up. We just opened our little shop. There's not a lot in there right now, but we're working on building that out. And we're just going to, continue growing, building.
We're fortunate people still want to watch us. So, that as long as people want to still watch and ask us to, they want questions answered about how things are done and so forth, then we're happy to do that, So it's process, right? People get to know you, by watching you. Again, people watching is now not sitting on a bench in Boston. It's, staring at people. It's going online and, looking at what people are doing. So, and explaining process and things that people can really, understand. So like YouTube is like a university. I mean, you can learn anything on YouTube.
100%.
Really want to learn. So it's like, it's crazy how you get to meet so many creative people, through these kind of, through this kind of tracks. So, we've talked to somebody in Australia on a podcast who we'd never know or meet. And that was a very good conversation talking about how they do things, so it's very cool how the social does expand that. You get to meet there's so many more creative people than you really think, so it's super interesting. I just got a CNC machine, by the way, which is so awesome. And I'm trying to learn how to do things.
What did you get? Hold on. I missed it. What did you get?
A CNC machine. Like
yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's badass. I'm not going to lie.
Like a home CNC machine?
Oh yeah. It's in my, yes. Yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this company makes,
it's called Yeti Smart Bench, which is cool because it's a Yeti, but
it's portable and it's like, it's small, but it's,
yeah, you can most of those CNCs are like stationary. Once you load it down somewhere, it has to stay there. This one is not. This one, they're like a 3D printing company, and then they created this piece because one of the guys was like, I want to do this, but it's too much room. I don't have the room, so we built this. So it like sets up in about 5 minutes, and you can get it rolling. And the whole point of it is that it's not, you don't need an engineering degree to run it. So that's what I've been learning. I've been just carving things like crazy.
I say, so like you can throw like bar stock, everything in there.
Anything you want, anything you pretty much can think of, you can make, because you can carve. It does real intricate carving if you want. It does up to 6 inches thick in the wood. So, signs, like I did a Kadilak home sign to test it, see how it looks. And then, we do a lot of like light boxes in the ceilings and stuff. And we'll do herringbone design, but it's out of wood, so we'll make tile out of wood and then bevel it. And it's very, it takes a while, a lot of labor to do it. So now, this machine can help us do things like that, where it can just do the whole kind of print the whole thing. And then we can just pop it up as one piece. So there's less nail holes, there's no seams, so you can get really creative with it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean,
cool,
I'm not good at it yet at any means, but I'm going to learn how to really run that thing well.
Yeah, already what you've done with it, even the samples and stuff we've seen. I'm going to have a long list of things that I'm like, okay, we need this and we need this and we need this.
Yeah, we in our new house, we put 10-foot ceilings in the basement, so it's very big. Yeah, I mean, it's baller. I'm not going to lie.
That's basketball or court.
Basketball or quarter.
Yeah. Quarter inch.
It's like Judge Night. Wait,
Night Court. Night
Yeah.
Court. I used to love that show.
So did I. That was a great
You
show.
look kind of like Harry.
No, I got hair.
No, the judge.
You're right. I was thinking of the tall guy that was bald.
That was Bull. Bull.
Right.
That was Bull. I told you I loved that show. I watched it.
Yeah. That and Fraggle Rock. That was one of my favorites when I was a kid.
They brought that back. You know that, right?
I know.
They brought
Can you
everything.
name the dog on Fraggle Rock? I always ask people that. I remember.
I don't remember if they brought the dog back, but
You remember the dog's name?
But it was Bud or
No,
something like that.
Do you know Double Dibble?
I don't.
What was the dog's name?
Sprocket.
Sprocket. Yes. Now, do you know what the most? Now you bring up Fraggle Rock. Do you know what the most memorable episode of Fraggle Rock was to me? And to me, it's such a. Now thinking about it, it is such a could fit into so many categories. You remember they always ate the builders' projects, right?
Yes. The Doozers.
The Doozers. So there was an episode where the real hippie one made everyone stop eating their projects. And he was like, he's like, stop, you're destroying it, man. Like, let it go. And they all stopped. And then the Doozers got so frustrated because they're like, we don't have anything else to build or anywhere else to build. You guys are supposed to eat this so we can build more. And they wouldn't do it. And then finally they were like, everybody was so hungry for them and they finally did it. And the doozers were so happy. And I'm like, if you really think about it, they just fucked the whole system up because one person had an opinion that didn't check with everybody else.
Welcome to the world.
Yep.
Is it so not a metaphor for the world?
It
Fraggle
is.
Rock. See,
Yeah.
you
a
can learn
great
so
show.
much.
Yeah, I mean that's we had TGI Friday. You know, you're like, oh, cool, Steve Urkel's on, or you know, Growing Pains. You know, Boner. Remember Boner on Growing Pains?
Yep.
Yeah,
God,
his best friend, right?
yeah. Use that name today.
That's my point, right? That's the kind of stuff. His father. Do you remember the Boner's father's name was Sylvester Stallone? I don't know if you remember that.
No, I did not
Really old
remember
school.
that.
Yeah.
Well, there was
Wild,
so,
right?
my son that I said we just took. We're folks. If you're still hanging with us, we'll talk about some building shit here in a minute.
If they're hanging with us, we apologize.
We're left turning for a moment.
So
My son was talking about that. He was like, the one I just took to college. He's like, well, Dad, those old shows, they used to do so many things. I was like, son, you got to remember those old Bugs Bunny Looney Tune cartoons were also propaganda machines. He's like, what? I'm like, yeah, you don't think about it, but Bugs doing, dressing the way he did and making fun of other nations we were battling with, they were part of the propaganda machine. And he's like, I never pieced that together. I'm like, yeah. And anybody who ever, wants to talk bad about, society didn't understand things. Bugs was dressing in drag long before anybody else thought it was cool.
Look at Elmer Fudd and his gun rights, Yeah. Rascally Rabbit, it's crazy.
Oh yeah. Don't even, I always love the gun rights people. You ever want to upset them?
I don't want to upset anyone. I just want to put that
I love messing with them.
Everyone. So whether
as a Marine,
everybody love everybody.
As a Marine, I have my guns. I have all those things. I always love messing with those people and being like, hey, you know why California gun rights suck? And they're like, yeah, because of Democrats. I'm like, mm-mm. They're like, what? I'm like, Ronald Reagan. They're like, what? I was like, remember when he was the governor? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, he changed their gun rights. It was because he didn't like the Black Panthers walking around open carry. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, go look at
read a book, dude.
Thank you. I'm like, read a book.
Wow.
And they all get wildly upset at me. And I'm like, I don't care. I'm a libertarian.
I mean, look,
everything's very
from
so
that.
polarized right now.
Yeah,
it's
like
thank
you.
People it's so crazy. It's just like you can't.
I just poke it. Well, so you can't see my shirt right now. We stopped at 9 Line on the way down, and it's got Winnie the Pooh on it. And it's got Winnie the Pooh. He always carried the pop gun, the cork gun, Winnie the Pooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it says stay strapped or get clapped with Winnie the Pooh. I love it.
Yeah. Well, there's all sorts of. I mean, the 9 Line thing. I think
I love 9 Line.
Grunt style one is it's where it's a 5.56 round and it says just the tip. And I'm like, yep, this is appropriate. This is gonna.
I bought my wife a Care Bear one, a 9 Line Care Bear shirt, and it's all Care Bears wearing NVGs and stuff like that. And at the top of it, it says Care Meter, and at the end, and it's all pegged to Don't Care.
Well, that's the shirt I'm wearing. The back of it's a unicorn.
Tie it back in. In our app, we do care about our clients.
I'm sorry. This is what happened. You got 2 Marines, and we went off for a moment. But back to where we're supposed to. So
welcome back, everyone.
Yeah. Welcome back. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
we make left turns.
Get back to the show. I mean, I gotta make some more popcorn and stuff, and go and break into my neighbor's house and get some peanut butter.
Oh my god, that's a pretty. That Rhodes is pretty nice.
It's pretty baller. They get
that kind of wild one.
Megaphone. They got.
Welcome to the Rod and Jack Show.
It's all sorts of stuff.
That the Rhodes is pretty impressive. Like I said, I saw the Rhodes. I liked it. The price is good on the Rhodes, I think. And then I was looking at. I've got all Zoom. Like everything I have is Zoom related. So
it's whatever. Listen, whatever you're comfortable with.
That's what half of it is. So we've got the website. We've got everywhere we can find you. We've got the are you guys doing your own podcast yet?
No, we're not. But Paul would love to because he has all this equipment and he's ready. He's so ready. But no, we do not.
I feel like Paul. Let's talk for a minute here. I feel like that might be a thing.
Music first. Hold on. How you doing tonight? How's everybody hanging in there? Good. So we got a little. Actually, that's not a good one. That's not even a great one. How y'all doing? We're about to get this podcast lit. #get lit. You know, it's ready. I'm ready for it. You know,
He's so ready.
Yeah, I get a lot of funny sounds and clips, but that are probably inappropriate, so I won't play them because I don't want to.
Let me think here for a minute. You know, I mean, we could definitely, if you need to know, see, in my opener, it's more something like driving nails and driving it home and getting hammered with Paul of Cadillac Homes.
There you go.
We watched the watermelon clip yesterday, which was.
What'd you think of that shit?
I was like, wow.
I mean, Susan and I were looking at it, and I was like, "What the was that? That is incredible."
She ruined them floors. That's why I said she needed to call you. She ruined them floors with that watermelon.
She sure did. Yeah. And it looked like it was seedless, but I couldn't tell.
You know what? I had to go back. Go into my TikTok, folks, and watch that video and tell me if it was a seedless watermelon or not. I couldn't.
Can we get a poll?
Does that have to come with a disclaimer to go into your TikTok? I feel like
no.
You don't want to go on TikTok. His TikTok, though, yes.
So, well, you guys have a ton going on. I love it. And your energy, I can already feel it. That I feel like it probably translates to the work site. Like,
yeah, we try to be appreciative to the people that work with us. We like to say, because people can go work wherever they want, but we are very fortunate that we have good people that work with us. They believe in kind of what we're doing, and they want to be part of that process, and that's a huge piece, you know. So it's relationships, like you were talking earlier. Your electrician, you love your electrician, you know. So it's like it's the same thing for us. Like our subs, like we have really good relationships with them. That's why if we need them and call them, they show up. So like we try to be good. Some buy pizza for them one day. I've had the ice cream man come in the summertime when it's hot. I'm like, hey, come, just get them all ice cream and send me the bill, whatever. So
and even the clients, like, going through renovation, building, whatever, it's all very stressful. You're displaced. You're spending a ton of money. You're
making the right
out.
decision,
right? So it's like to go through that process. So we try to keep it as low stress as we can, because it's like there's no reason to get, we try to keep everybody as like kind of, calm and lay back as much as we can. And Paul, we call him the CFO. He's the chief fun officer. He brings all the fun.
See, that's necessary.
That's
necessary. I tell people when my wife and I redid our living room floors that we almost got divorced 3 times. Like
it's stressful.
It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I've walked in on couples like mid-fighting, things flying in the air, and I'm like, I'm going to see you guys. I'll talk to you guys later. So then you see them when they're not mad at each other, and they, they know you saw them, and they laugh about it with you. So it's like, hey.
But that's good for you guys. I mean, that's a testament to what you guys do, that you can essentially talk people off the edge by being who you are and having that relationship with them.
And that's why we named the show Renovation Rekindle, because Susan and I don't go out, because we really do love our house. So we wanted people to kind of, when they buy a home, they have this vision of like, oh, there's so much space. We can do this. We can do this. And then they move in, and then maybe it's like, whoa, this door squeaks and this doesn't open right. And this, it's like a relationship at the beginning. They have all this hope, and then it starts dwindling with they learn all the nuances of it. And then we want to come in and fix it and make them fall back in love with the house. So, that's why we called it Renovation Rekindle, because we want people to fall back in love with the house. So it's like they have a vision, but they don't know how to articulate it and try to put it out there. And I think that's where Susan comes in, and knowing, she knows how to build it. She doesn't need me by any means. I'm sure people have already picked up on that, but she can build the house without me. But, the way she designs it for people, the questions that she asks them, because when people call you, essentially, why'd you call us? I hate my kitchen. That's the RSTLNE of Wheel of Fortune, right? You already know that for a fact, that they don't like the look of something. What's deeper than that? Why don't you like it? Well, me and my husband can't cook in the same time. Okay, where do you have to keep your spices? I got to go all the way over here. So she starts digging in and peeling those layers back and really listening to what they're saying to pull that design together for them.
Now, is there, you hinted at, you were reached out to by the people who shall not be named, the channel that shall not be named. If you want me on your channel, though, folks, you can reach out to me. I'll go ahead. I'm pretty much willing to do anything. I don't give a shit. I'll whore myself out. I don't care. It'll be Renovation Wrecked. That's what we'll call that shit. Here, he's going to go ahead and put a nail in. I don't know what I'm doing. So, but would you still ever consider that, or have you kind of reached a point where that's just, it's not a necessary evil? Like, you're not looking to build your own Magnolia in your own shop. Like you said, you have a shop, but like, there's that husband and wife couple that they got a destination.
They do. Yeah. They have a destination. Yeah. I mean, for us, yeah, I mean, we're just going to continue, working on building our business, but like, do we need to do that to continue to build our business? I don't believe that we do.
No, I think the reason Susan and I get along so well, people are like, how do you guys work together, husband and wife? I actually find it easier because, if she's having a tough day or I am, we kind of know why,
Right.
it's like, okay, you understand.
So let's see what's
two
left out.
different, occupations where you don't really understand what they do and, and so forth. So, Bob at the office kept bugging me at the water cooler. He just kept asking me about my spreadsheets. It was, I was like, when's he going to go away? You're like, huh? Who the hell is Bob? What spreadsheet are you talking about?
And if you're anything like me, you're like, Bob, who the fuck is Bob? Do I need to fight Bob? Like, do I have to fight this guy now? Like, I don't want to fight this guy, but do I have to fight this guy?
Don't embarrass me. No.
Like, I don't know this guy. I got to fight this guy now? And you're like,
just wait till the Christmas party. I'll find Bob.
And then all of a sudden, that's what ends up happening. You go to those events, and then you're like, your wife's like, have a good one. And you're like, you never introduced me to him. Oh, that's Bob. That's the guy?
That's the mother.
Why are you so upset? I thought I was supposed to be mad at him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's so it's easier to understand, I think, than people might, conceptually realize it, for that. Because we're
some
both,
people say, how do you work?
Right.
How do you work together? I think it's easier.
And we do enjoy spending time with each other. Some couples don't like to spend time with each other. We actually do enjoy spending time with each other and our kids, when in our downtime. But, it's cool that we can help people. You never think of changing someone's life in that sense when you're doing a renovation, right? So it's cool to be part of that process. It's humbling when people like pull their blindfolds off and they're just like, they're crying in front of you, like they're so happy, So
it is a very emotional process. Like you don't necessarily think about that when you think about building, but it is a very emotional process when you're working on someone's home. So like for us, like that's first and foremost that we always keep in mind, and why we want to, keep the client's expectations and everything, that they are kind of on the journey with us, and that it's not so that they don't look back on it and remember it as like this like thing that they hated going through. That it's of course always stressful and you're displaced, but in the end it's worth it. So
yeah, you're broke, you're stressed, and you're displaced. 3 not fun places to be.
Oh, it's like being homeless. Fuck.
And then you add hope to that it looks how you think it's going to look at the end of the day, because a lot of people have a hard time visualizing.
Yeah. So like we know, like at certain points of the project, like it's like clockwork. We know that at the beginning they're at one state of mind. We get to another certain point. Okay, when we get to this point, no matter how long it's been too long. So, then they're over it. And then when we get to a point where it's like it's almost done, but it's not quite done, that's when it really ramps up, because it's getting close, but it's not there yet. So then the levels just go off the charts. But like we're ready for it. We're just, we're just like, okay, yep, this is normal. This is the cycle. Everything's gonna be fine. And we had one client, he we were probably like 90% done, and he was like, yeah, like we're done. And I was like, yeah, but we're not. So you gotta wait. We're just not done. And like we're almost done, but we're not done.
That's great that you
and everybody kind of goes through that, and it's every time, but it's as long as in the end when we're done, it was worth it and they're happy. Like that's all we care about.
Yeah,
and it makes that moment when they're like getting ready to lose it. We're like, we promise it's going to be fine. We know it's going to be fine. We know it's it's not so great right now, but it's going to be fine.
And kudos to our clients on the show, because they get shut out after a certain point that they can't see it. So they don't know like what was done today, so we try to keep them up to date with that, but like they don't physically see the progress. So they're just like starting to drive themselves crazy over it, and like the couple we had where I had the plywood walls up, he was working from home, and I'm like making noise. I'm like, it looks sick in here. You're going to be loving this. And he's like, screw you. So, you tease them and stuff, but they know you're doing it because you really care and you want to see, how it's going to all come out at the end of the day, So it's like, did we hit the mark? Did it solve the problems that they needed solving, and it's like, people always have a vision of like, we're going to have memories here, our kids, this and that. So it's like, and when you have a comfortable place to go, it is a life-changing thing. When you can come home and like you had a rough day, fighting with someone, whatever, when you have a place to go, and you're comfortable in it, there's the price is worth it sometimes. You know, it depends depending on who you have. You know.
What were you gonna say, Dibs?
Oh no, it's such a sigh of relief. I mean, that's just us doing our floors. We just did our closet, and I mean, simple stuff.
He
And it's
got
just you
out.
walk. Yeah, right there. I'm good.
No,
Yeah, you're
you
good.
Just got
You're
out of
saying that your
it.
closet's in the shed outside.
Yeah.
Well, I was just saying he just got out of it. So.
Oh, fair enough. No, but it's one of those things where we walk in now, and it's just such a sigh of relief to not have how bad it was, to have not gross carpet where we redid our floor. So I can't even imagine the level of, I mean, essentially like euphoria that your clients experience when they've had that peak of, nope, I'm done, because I've been there. So to actually have that and then to walk in and just see what they designed is amazing. So,
I mean, even something like as little as like carpet, like one thing you think about, like that is an annoyance every single day. And even if you don't think about it all the time, those things that you hate about your house, they're there like pecking at you every single day. So when it's finally done, it is a different feeling.
And we tell people like you need to live in your house for a while first before you do a renovation, because you need to learn the house. You need to learn what you do not like about that house so that you can fix those issues, right? So like once you know what indefinitely you don't like about your house, because the stuff that you do like, it's not on the radar as much, you know. So
well, it's like you mentioned, it's like a relationship. When you first get it, you're like, oh my God, this is amazing. I love everything about it. And then about 3 months later, you're like, wow, I really hate that closet. I really hate that cabinet. I'm going to go demo it right now.
You're looking at the house like, did you just rip one? It stinks.
See, I wish you guys lived closer to me. You have no idea. Because I need that savior. We're gonna have to close this up in a minute, and I'll get things thrown at me in a moment. I love my wife. I told you, my wife is the person who's like, well, why can't we do it? I'm the one who has to fix it afterwards. I can't tell you many times there's been projects where she started them, and I went, what are you doing? Well, I'm gonna go ahead and redo this whole entire room. I'm taking this wall out and putting that wall in, and I'm like,
like that's an outside wall. What do you mean?
Like, babe, like we can't. It's load bearing. What do you mean it's load bearing? Do you see the way it's running? It's running along the house. And I'm like, yeah, like you have no idea. And my wife is amazing, but she's an amazing supporter with other things. But that's the one where I'm like I wish I had somebody like much closer. But we have a friend who can do all these things, but he's the guy who's like, I've done these for years. Let me point at you as you do it, and then you can do it. And I'm like, again, I'm not that. My dad, I'll leave you with this. My dad was the guy who used to say, I'm not doing that work because I'm not taking food off of somebody else's table.
There you
Solid.
go.
I mean,
that was my old man. So where's some places that any like home, like, I don't know if you guys do these or not, like home shows, anything like that coming up, if somebody wanted to meet you, if they actually were in the Boston area,
we do birthdays and bar mitzvahs and stuff, whatever.
We're
very tangible.
Birdhouses at bar mitzvahs. That would be so amazing.
So we'll be at there's a builder show in Vegas in January. We'll be there. There's High Point Market in October. We'll be there.
Carolinas, yeah.
Yep. And well, I mean, we're other than that, we're always here, especially now, through this time of year, through the summer, it's our busy season. So we're just here doing as much as we can while we still have daylight.
Right.
So, and the app is Renovation Rekindle, and that's on all the major platforms, Facebook, Apple, and Android. The Google,
Apple, Android, you can get Apple TV, Amazon Fire,
Roku, that.
Yeah, it's pretty much available anywhere.
And
so it's all free. Yep,
all free. That was going to be my next question because we didn't get into that. Is there any cost to somebody picking up the app? So that's all free, and then they can find you again at Kadilak Homes, and that's Kadilak Homes. With an S at the end of it. And that's Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. Any Twitch? You got a Twitch yet? You need a Twitch. You should be streaming, putting houses together. That should be great. That would be a new thing.
We time lapse them, which is kind of cool to watch.
I love it. And then if you want to know about, how to lay bricks properly, Susan will teach you how to do that.
Your grandfathers will teach you that. Yes.
If you want to learn about, geeking out on sound gear and everything, Paul can teach you about that.
And mullets. I'm a professional.
And mullet, he's a professional mullet rider. He's a mullet guy. Folks, you guys are amazing. You're so much fun. I think it would just, I don't know if I couldn't do it. I have horrible anxiety. There's a thing in Massachusetts that helps me with my anxiety. I'm not going to get into, but
the governor.
What?
The governor helps you.
Yes, the governor of Massachusetts helps me with my anxiety. What's that thing? My anxiety is, I can't think of the whole TikTok
Your
thing.
anxiety has anxiety. Is that what you're saying?
My anxiety has anxiety. Thank you, Uncle Sam's Misguided Children. I appreciate that. That's a gift.
I got a shirt. I got a shirt coming for you, Sean. You'll like it.
Oh God, Uncle Sam's Misguided Children gifted me with such great anxiety. I can't, like, my best friend Ken's laughing at me. He knows the truth about it.
Yeah.
So all that's going on as I don't log off afterwards, because I got to talk to you guys right after this. So we're gonna talk for a moment. But I even gave you the pointer finger.
You did. We have to
At least you didn't knife hand him.
Knife hand. Listen here. I was never a knife hand guy. You know what I was, Dibs? I was always a snapping point.
Yeah. I'd take a snapping point over a knife hand.
Yeah, I was never a knife hand. I never, like, that's a whole Marine Corps thing. Like, guys that would talk like this with the knife hand, like the G.I. Joe Kung Fu grip knife hand. And then there was those of us who came from another generation, which everything was a point and snap.
Yeah, I can do that too. I get the whistle. I can whistle loud.
Do you point and snap? You got to point though when you do it, as you're snapping point.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, people usually don't want to listen to me, so it really isn't effective use of communication for me.
That is one of the best things I did gain from the Marine Corps, though, is I go to these events with all kinds of other people in my industry for staffing or for HR and all this stuff, and there'll always be somebody up there going, "Excuse me, I need everyone's attention. Excuse me." And for some reason, I'm close to where that person's at, and I'll look at them and go, "Do you need me to get everyone's attention?" And they'll be like, "Can you do that for me?" And I just give this, "Ow!" And everybody's like, "Fuck is going on?" And they all look that way, and I'm like, "Have a nice day." And I just kind of
get the gun in the AL or the lock it up real quick, just blow people. Yep.
Lock it up doesn't work for civilians. They don't know what that means.
I actually have a microphone that I carry with me that's available at any time. It's it's Bluetooth, so you can karaoke with it if you ever need to get attention. It's a very effective tool too.
That's so awesome.
Highly
so
recommend.
As we do, and you guys may have to rock, paper, scissors this one because there's two of you. So as we do on every show, let me do this one thing real quick. As always, folks, sticker and a cause. If you got a cause, something you're supporting, make sure you reach out to us. Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok. It's all the Above the Bar podcast. Even our email is the Above the Bar podcast. You can find Dibs at Media by Dibs on Instagram and on Facebook, and his LinkedIn is Andrew Dibble. So make sure you reach out to him for any of your media needs. As we do in every single show, the guests get the last word. So what is, you guys figure out, because there's two of you. I mean, I don't know if you want to split this. I don't know if you want to go, I said, and then go back and forth. I don't know what you want to do, but you tell me. So the guest gets the last word. So what's the last word from Kadilak Homes?
Okay, I guess I'm gonna get the last word.
Yeah, people heard me enough. They want to hear you. So
you put me on the spot here. Go ahead, Paul.
We appreciate the generosity of you gentlemen's time, taking the time out to speak with us. And for anybody listening currently, we appreciate them also listening. And we encourage stalking on all our social media channels at Kadilak Homes. And hopefully people will download the app and check out what we're up to. We enjoy and really love what we do in the process. And, we have a passion for that. When Susan brought me into it, I had a passion for the firefighting, then she brought me to that. And then I had the chance to fall in love with that as well. And I suggest every man out there try to find a girl with a dump truck. So, and the last takeaway I'll say is download the app Renovation Rekindle. And my piece of advice for remodeling is doing it right costs less than doing it again.
Be sure to put your stool in.
This has been an Earplug Podcast presentation. Found on earplugpodcast.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, and wherever your favorite podcasts are found.